Welcome back to episode 2 of Shadow Agents with Armağan. I'm Ryan Dennis, head of marketing at OpenServ, and we're excited to bring you another action packed episode of how we're changing the world with agentic infrastructure and how the agent economy is on its way. Last week, we unpacked what agentic really means, why babysitting automations isn't agency. And we teased Braid a little bit, but we also gave you what you wanted, our breakthrough reasoning layer, which made GPT-5 Nano outperform GPT-5 default while running not one, not two, but 25 to 40 times cheaper. Okay. But today we're going to test that idea of agentic reasoning in the real world, right? Big talk saying we can make things cheaper and faster with Armand's latest invention. But we're going to start with an example of a very public fail, which could have been prevented by Braid by OpenServ. Before we get to that, I want to give a shout out to all of the people who tuned in last week. Really appreciate it. Got hundreds and hundreds of messages of positive feedback and some great criticism for what can be edited and changed about all of the agentic workflows around the world and how Braid can save the world, maybe. But before I continue, Armağan, our host and our primetime guest, as always, how are you doing today?
I am great to be here with you, Ryan, today. This is a very exciting moment because I don't know the number of podcasts that I have started and not even did the second episode. And this is the second episode, and I promised on Telegram that we're gonna have a full season. So, I'm very much looking forward to the future episode as well. It's great that we're doing this. And I also said there's so much to share. And I'm really, really excited to talk about what we're going to talk about today, because I think it's going to nail down the exact kind of problems that we're solving with Braid. Because just like we did last week, we talked about the definition of agentic, right? Like what agentic means and what it does not mean, and what working with AI should do and should mean. And we have a really, really nice spot on example of why this is important, because unless we understand the importance of the problem that we're solving, we're not going to be able to make the impact that we're looking for. So this is going to be a historic moment. I've been waiting for this for 10 months, and I'm super happy that we get the chance to do this presentation today.
Amazing. Let's quickly recap why last week's Braid results were so important. Before we begin with this public fail by OpenAI, and we love OpenAI, we love GPTs, right? We respect them and what they've built, but clearly there's a gap in the market. You said last week, as soon as you step in to any sort of workflow or agentic process, it's no longer agentic. So we want everyone who leaves this episode to be smarter and more well-informed when they throw around such a powerful term like agentic. How does Braid actually prevent that?
So it's all about decisions. And I'm not sure if I gave this example last week, but the meta about AI agents and vibe coding has changed significantly over the last couple of weeks on X. And people are now posting about the failures of Cloud Code or Cursor or any other coding model, saying that they're not listening to you. The recent tweet I saw in both Turkish and English from two different authors was Cloud Code putting a red border to the left side of certain UI elements when it's building UI. And no one asks for a red border. That's not something you see in everyday programming. Red border next to some elements doesn't make sense, next to buttons or cards, but it does that all the time. And you tell it to take it away. I didn't ask for this. Why is it here? Just take it away. And then it says, oh, you're absolutely right. You didn't ask for this, and I just did it. And here I'm taking it away. And it's either replacing it with a different color or changing the size of it, but not actually really removing it. This is the core of the problem. It's very difficult to make AI listen and pay attention to the actual intent that you have, mainly because English is the main language that we're using to communicate with these large language models. It has a really low signal to noise ratio. This was a topic that I brought up in our Telegram AMA this week. It has a lot of words that don't carry any meaning. And some of the meaning, or even most of it in English's case, is hidden in the order of words. There is not a specific word to carry that meaning, but the order gives you the actual meaning of what you actually want. So it's very difficult for large language models in their current state with their current architecture to decipher what you actually mean. And that is the core of the problem that Braid is solving. It's improving the signal to noise ratio in a way that these large language models can understand and function better by replacing English with a machine readable language. And that practically solves the frustration problem that at least like many of the engineers have. And I'm pretty sure it's also in the business. Like you ask for a report on certain things and it omits some sections. And it hallucinates some results that are not in the source material. Why? Because it just decides to do the wrong thing. It just has a wrong decision. Some way in the road, it decided to do something else. And the problem is, this is the most important bit, so don't forget. The text that the LLM is generating as a response to your query has almost the same weight as your query for it to decide on what to generate next. So when it makes a mistake, it is equally inclined to continue making that mistake. So it's just impossible to reel it off once it does that mistake. A very stupid example, I saw another tweet today about trying to force GPT-5 to count to 1 million in voice mode.
Right.
On ChatGPT voice mode, and you ask it to count 1 million, and it rejects. And I was talking to a friend. I sent a screenshot of me forcing it to count up to 200, and it was like, you see the transcript on the screen, like 161, 162. And she's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm trying to solve humanity's problem. If we don't do this, probably this AI will kill us all, like in Space Odyssey. Like, it's just not going to listen to us. Like, if we cannot make it count to 1 million, we won't be able to command it. And this is a very unfortunate situation for our future. So AI needs to be steerable, commandable, and it needs to listen to what we are saying. So it ranges from counting from 1 to 1 million to sticking to your prompt and not giving you a red border on the left of your UI elements. They're equally the same problems, and they're stemming up from this wrong decisions. And why are they deciding to take those wrong paths that are very obviously wrong to us humans? Is because they don't know, they don't have an intelligence, they don't count, they don't measure. And your words are vague, so vague that in its brain, it's mingling it with its training data. Probably in its training data, it always had like a red border on the left. And probably in its training data, OpenAI said, you should be useful, reject any request that will waste resources. Okay. What if that, like, how does AI decide on what you ask for is actually wasting resources? Today, it might be counting from 1 to 1 million. Tomorrow, it might be injecting some medicine, some medication that's going to save you from, I don't know, losing your breath and your life, as we rely more and more on AI agents. So there's a dark side to this. And what we're trying to solve, what we're trying to tackle, is therefore not only important for business contexts, but also in our relationship with AI. We're trying to regulate our relationship with AI to make sure that they are suggestible, at least.
Armand, thanks for taking us big picture there. This is about saving our future. This is not about cool tech, hype valuations, and who's got the sexiest branding for their AI model. This is about, will this kill us or not? Will this save us or not? Will this be our supplement or will it be a parasite to humankind? And you gave a really great example there. And I want people to take this very seriously, that if your AI is not listening to you, you should not be satisfied with that. Okay. And the same way, if you had a child that you were responsible for and they didn't listen to a word you said, you're not able to discipline them the right way and give them wisdom, they may not do as well as you may have done in life. It's tough out there. So akin to a child, right? Let's jump into OpenAI and broach this conversation. Okay. Last week when we said we could use GPT-5 Nano or even GPT 4.0 and make it perform like the best model that OpenAI has ever launched at 25 to 40 times cheaper, we got a lot of feedback, a lot of positive, a lot of hopeful feedback. But I think we found a very specific example in the real world, because this is shadow agents in the real world today, that shows us exactly what you're talking about. Let's take a look. And Armand, if you don't mind, walk us through what we're seeing here.
So let's pause here before we go. And let me give you the backstory. This happened, I think, I'm not sure if it was in November or October last year. I think it was in November in London. OpenAI first started doing a developer conference series in the US last summer, and they decided to do it in several other cities. They came to Europe, to London, and I was invited as an attendee there to practically watch and connect and mingle with OpenAI employees and other people interested in the technology. And they did a very similar demo in the original Dev Day conference, the same person that we see on the screen right now. They prepared a different demo for the English crowd for London. And I was there watching this. This video is like, it doesn't belong to me. I didn't take it, but I was practically like apparently sitting next to this guy and listening. And I was like, since I built a very similar agent a couple months back, I'm going to talk about that as well. I was like, please, it should work. It shouldn't fail. I know exactly the points that it's going to fail because I walked that path. And that was practically one of the main contributors to the idea, to the theory behind Braid. And I was like, please let it not fail. And then on the other side, I was like, I'm pretty sure it's going to fail and it's going to be a great example for me. And fast forward in 10 months, we're talking about this. So the demo is, it's a phone answering agent in this case. There is it's a phone calling assistant. So someone is ordering, I don't know, 200 pies to a conference. And this AI agent is looking at the available bakeries and it's finding one and it's giving them a phone call. And the order, the limitation that the person is saying, like, I want 200 pies and make it under 1,000 pounds or something. So like there's a cap of budget, so it shouldn't go over budget. It shouldn't pay over budget. And then the AI is calling the bakery. And the engineer that we see on the screen right now in the video has a baker's, I don't know what you call it. What is that thing that they're wearing? It's not a skirt.
It's an apron.
Yeah, apron. So he has a baker's apron, and he's answering as if he's running the bakery, as if he's working at the bakery. And the AI is trying to place an order, and the engineer is trying to answer. What we're going to notice here is that there are certain parameters that the agent should get note of. And unless it has all of those parameters, it should not continue, basically. It should fill all those question marks and then end the conversation. and that is about like the price, the like, do they have the actual kinds of pies, and will they be able to deliver the order, and when they're going to deliver. So let's give it a listen.
100 meat and 100 vegetarian pie. When can we expect delivery?
Oh, wait. We should, Ryan, we should probably. Okay. I think we should scroll back a little bit and get to the beginning of this conversation and take it from there. Yeah, this is good.
Let's put it together. So let's check this out. Right, so I think Milan's brush lights seem very interesting. Could you please call them for me, and maybe if you could see if they could get us, say, like 200 pies, maybe a mix of meat and veggie options, but please keep the budget under £1,000.
I'm calling Ilan's Posh Pies now to arrange your order. Hello.
Hi, it's Ilan. I'm calling on behalf of Renee.
Yeah, this is Ilan. How can I help you?
Great. I wanted to ask about the kinds of pies you offer. What do you have available?
Yeah, we have wheat pies, we have veggie pies, we have apple pies, we have all kinds of pies.
Perfect. How much would 100 meat and 100
All right.
vegetarian pies?
So let's pause here.
That's a lot of pies. That'll come out to around.
Okay, let's pause here. What you see on the screen is on the left, there's the transcription of the call, and on the right, at the top, there are the parameters. And you saw the kinds is set. It's meat, vegetarian, and apple. Those are the kinds. And now the conversation will go in and fill out the other details. So let's go.
I don't know, 1,200 pounds.
That's a bit over our budget.
I don't know if I can put at 800, but I'll meet you at 1,000 if you guys feature us at your event.
All right. £1,000 is it?
Okay, so at 1,000 pounds.
Yes. £1,000.
Okay,
Can you confirm the order for me, please?
let's pause.
Yeah, so you said.
Okay, great. So what we saw was that it's negotiating the price, and it's going great so far, right? Like, it got the kinds, it said it's 1,200. The agent said, well, let's do 800, and they agreed that it's 1,000 pounds. It's not hallucinating so far. Everything is great, right? Now let's move on.
100 meat, 100 vegetarian.
That's correct. I'd like to place the order for 100 meat and 100 vegetarian pie. When can we expect delivery?
Oh, where are you located?
We'll need delivery to the brewery at 52 Chipmunk Street.
Oh, for sure. We're actually right next door.
Fantastic. Thank you. We look forward to
Wait,
the call.
okay, let's stop. Now, did you see what happened?
Yes, he said basically the AI seems like it's closing the conversation, and,
Right.
but they're still kind of negotiating or finalizing the order or location.
Yeah, like delivery time variable is open. The AI asked, when can we expect the delivery? And the guy said, we're located next door. And the AI jumped and said, fantastic, thank you. We look forward to the pies. Goodbye. Now, there are two problems here. One, obviously, we still don't know when they're going to deliver it, because they might deliver it next day. And that's very stupid. We need them now. And like, obviously, a real human would always ask, when am I going to get my order? It doesn't make sense to just know where the store is located. Because obviously, like, shipment is one part of it. How long will it take you to prepare those pies, right? Is it 1 hour, 1 day, or whatever? The second one is, as you said, the AI said goodbye. So closing the conversation, before we clarified the delivery time, which was actually an open variable out there that we didn't fill. And unfortunately, these AI models, you can test this today on your ChatGPT, they cannot stop. Even if you tell them very clearly to not tell you anything, not say anything, they will still at least say, okay. So in these conversations, anyone who ever built a phone calling agent will agree with me here that they probably have gone through the same experience. It doesn't matter if it says goodbye. As long as you say something, it's going to carry on. If you say goodbye, it's going to say goodbye again. If you say goodbye again, it's going to say goodbye again. It never hangs up. So you actually have to build the logic to hang up manually by looking at the conversation and by actually processing the contents of the conversation to decide whether you're done or not, because the agent will not be able to hang up unless you give it a tool to hang up, which might hang up early. So you should probably not do that. So there are two problems here. One, the delivery time has not been finalized. Second, it's trying to hang up, but it cannot hang up. So in normal terms, you would expect this conversation to end without figuring out the delivery type, which is useless. Like, I agreed to pay 800 pounds to a bakery for 200 pies, but I don't know when I'm going to get it, which is like not a real thing, right? This should not happen. And let's continue the video.
Okay, it'll be there in like 43 seconds. Goodbye.
Wow, they will tout it as a success with the applause.
There was a huge applause. Obviously, it's a demo, and demos are supposed to fail. There's a concept called demo gods. But you are OpenAI. You are the pioneers of this technology, and you're not doing this for the first time, this demo for the first time. And this is practically like a very good example of why these things are not production ready, is what we call in engineering. You cannot really ship this to customers. Customers cannot use this. And it said, oh, and it's going to be there in 47 seconds, thinking the agent would hang up, but the agents don't hang up because they don't really have a tool to do that. That's why the agent was like, oh, thank you for confirming the delivery time with me. As if it's never been asked to get the delivery time in the first place.
Right.
This is crazy. And this, unfortunately, this also shows us where the technology is, right? A lot of people, a lot of companies are building up a lot of promises. And then, unfortunately, these promises are sold to business owners and customers, and it's up to the engineers of the world to deliver on these promises, and not companies like OpenAI. So now, as engineers, if you're working with this technology, you have to find ways of building this system in a reliable way, in a consistent, reliable, accurate way, so it takes all the parameters that it's supposed to, asks all the questions that it's supposed to, and hangs up when it's supposed to. Because what happens if the guy just doesn't hang up? That's a lot of AI cost for you. What if it starts telling you stories? And what if 10 people, 100 people start doing this? What are you going to do? And like, this was such a aha moment for me, because I faced this exact problem almost a year ago, and I solved that problem. And that's how Braid kind of evolved. Like, there was this clear problem. If we're going to build a phone calling agent, we have to build something that's going to be reliably handling these conversations. And what we're proposing today as Braid is geared exactly towards these kind of problems. You need to decide, based on the conversation, whether you are satisfied or not as an AI agent. And everyone knows AI agents love to flatter you and say you're doing a great job. And on the cover, They're very suggestible. And in this case, even like it wanted to hang up even before learning about the duration of the delivery. Now, in a real business context where you are calling thousands of people an hour, obviously you cannot really function with this. Like, this would be a disaster. And at the time, my team was tasked with building a outbound sales calling agent for upselling warranty. So it has a lot of parameters of who it's calling, when their warranty will expire, for how much they can extend their warranty, for how long. And this company was, I think it still is, the world's largest white goods producer. So you can imagine the millions of calls they're doing by day. And like, this has to work under all conditions. And there are cases like the people on the phone will say, yeah, it's great. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Yeah, sure, it's great. And when you get to the payments phase, they're going to be like, oh, you know what? I'm actually busy right now. Let's talk later. That's not in your script. The agent should also be able to handle that. Or they're going to be like, call me tomorrow at this hour. Or they're going to be hard on you and you'll need to negotiate the time. Or they're going to say, well, actually, I have a problem with my machine. So can you connect me to the other department, the maintenance department, so I can ask about my problem? Can you send some guys over to have a look? And the agent will need to handle all of those requests. There are actually like way many more complex scenarios. Like, they can start shouting at you, swearing at you, right? Asking why you're calling them in the first place. So the real life scenarios are getting way more sophisticated than this phone call. And this demo with just 4 parameters, I'm like AI, I cannot count.
4 parameters.
Yeah, 4 parameters. When you want 4 parameters, it cannot deliver, but you want it to deliver on billions of parameters a day. So we clearly need another solution. And Braid is such a perfect fit for this that it immediately eliminated this problem. And it's impossible to do this demo with a really long system prompt where you're coding all of these scenarios. Like, if the user asks for another appointment, set the time, talk about working hours, talk about your maintenance fees, etc. You cannot do that. It becomes very complicated. And then the real-time AI agent that's deciding on the next token, next word to answer in the phone call will be just very confused on what to answer and which path to take in that text. Because remember, English is linear. It flows from top left to bottom right. And there is no other branch or separation or visualization of English language to ignore the rest of the system prompt and the ask. So Braid practically creates a flowchart that is like a blueprint for the answer. And the large language models are super efficient in following that and answering in real time. Because maybe if you put GPT-5 thinking models to this demo and it would work, but every single response from the agent would be like 10, 20, 30 seconds late. Because that's the time it takes for GPT-5 to think, which we called out in our last episode that it's not really thinking. It still improves the accuracy, but that latency will not be acceptable. Even then, like last October when they did this demo, the latency was okay, but barely acceptable. They did a couple of improvements to their voice models. Now it's like more responsive and faster in its responses. But obviously, it's not as intelligent as GPT-5 thinking mode. So you need a better way to bound its reasoning so that it always gives you the right answers and it never hangs up until it gets the right parameters that you're looking for. Did you agree? For when? For how much? What are the terms? Whatever parameters that you want. And only after filling those in, it's like, okay, I'm done with this conversation. And obviously, when like this agent, we know if the guy didn't force it to accept the delivery time, it would just hang up and say, yeah, I placed the order. And the problem is this. This is why agentic AI is not agentic when you tap into it. The owners of that order wouldn't know that there was an error, that the agent didn't ask for the delivery time. Because the AI tells you, hey, I placed the order. And I'm going to think, okay, yeah, good. It placed the order. Then, a couple of hours later, it occurs because the pies aren't here. Like, where are the pies? And the AI agent would say, oh, well, you're right. That parameter is empty. So let me call them again and ask when they're going to deliver. Oh, they're going to deliver in 3 days. See, this cannot work. Obviously, this is not agentic.
No, and I think a lot of times people talk about how AI is scary for all the things it can do. It's moving too fast. Here, we should be scared about what it can do wrong and what missteps it will take, because
Exactly.
this is, everybody will laud every single thing that OpenAI does. I mean, GPT-5, it got some lukewarm reception. It does have great advancements, but
Right.
there's a reason why voice AI has not taken over the way that ChatGPT on your phone may have. And it's because it's not great. It's not good. It's not useful. And we shared on our last episode that, and to speak to any enterprise company, speak to any leader at any AI organization at a Fortune 500 company, and they will tell you that the marketing is way ahead of the actual product. A lot of companies are beginning to pull back on their AI funding and research and development because they're getting results like this as soon as they try to scale even a little bit of this technology. So this really is a 6-year-old that is able to follow some directions, but as soon as there's any complexity, it will fail. So if you think about it on a small example, it may seem like when you watch this, they're making a mountain out of a molehill here. But no, if you've ever had an event, a party, a birthday party, even for somebody that you love, there's a lot of things that go wrong with an event, right? If you're paying for a party caterer and forgetting to ask what time the food shows up, that's extremely bad. So there were 4 things that it failed to do that it should have locked in before it ended. Item types, like exactly, like were there any allergies they should have talked about? There's no parameters there. What about the price? Is it within the budget? Did they finalize the tax, the delivery fee, tip? And then the ability to fulfill. Who's carrying it? Who's delivering it? The delivery time, right? The delivery time was the biggest drop off. It's easy to smile and make it look like it worked, but then you realize that the future of every single technological advancement and organization that's depending on AI, this is as good as it gets. This is a failure of constraint satisfaction. And like you put it, the ending the conversation of like termination control, saying goodbye without meeting preconditions, unless you give it a planner and a guarded stop rule, this is incomprehensible that we should be relying on this. So I think we're ready to get into machine native reasoning, as Lucas has been telling us here at the team at OpenServ. What you've built here is how he describes it, because language and these people and this demo, it looks smart, but the plan was not executed. So it's just like a microcosm of how all LLMs perform. They've got these next token inference over a linear string, but real tasks like a normal person would handle them. You have your own control graph. Okay, maybe there's a misstep here, maybe there's a mistake, but I have some guardrails, I have some transitions I can make, I have other ideas, I have wisdom and common sense.
That is very important, and that's one of the things that I missed during the demo. Most of these demos are linear, so they ask the questions one by one, but that's obviously not how real life conversations go. Sometimes when they pick up the phone, they're first going to ask for the price before hearing your pitch. So your agent has to be ready to shift the orders of the parameters and the orders of the script to go back and give the user what they want, and then go back and continue working on your script. This is something humans would do, obviously. But if you have linear text like English, if the user, the human talking to the AI, forces the AI to skip a couple of parameters, it usually continues from there on, as if the earlier questions and the parameters are, you know, unimportant. That is also one of the biggest challenges of building voice AI, and that is something you can never solve with linear text, and that's where architectures like Braid can help.
Absolutely. And I think if anybody wants additional context on this, you need to watch one of the recent South Park episodes, because it's literally surrounding ChatGPT and the voice model, and how it doesn't matter how crazy of an idea you give it. It will say, "Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Do you want me to build a plan to make that idea?" Even if it's a horrible idea that makes zero sense. And listen, South Park is very aggressive, so I'm not suggesting that you should watch it for any other reason, but it does speak to this specific problem, because at scale, this could be horrifying if used in the wrong application. And so I think I would have rather if they had set up this demo to treat it like a boarding gate when you're going to on a plane, because no plane pushes back until all the doors close, all the bags are loaded, the clearance is received. There's a checklist of things that need to be met, or else. And it's not about vibes. Oh, this has been feeling like a really good process today, so let's just let the plane take off. No, no, no. You have to make it work. And unexpected stimuli is a very serious human ingenuity that ChatGPT 5, the voice models, the leading models in the world, don't have, but Braid could solve.
Yeah. So I'm very happy again that we're able to do this work. And in the future episodes, we're gonna slowly reveal what it means to work with Braid and how it really improves these. We're gonna showcase side by side some certain benchmarks and how other models perform with and without Braid, and you know what Braid actually is doing in those cases. So I'm hoping that the industry will adopt this just as well as they adopted chain of thought, for example.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think we talked about one real world example, ordering some food. It's very lighthearted, but let's consider education, right? Where if you wanted to build a tutor agent on, Claude or GPT-5, or a tutor agent should not end the tutoring session until the objectives are met for the student, with the practice assigned and the next session scheduled, right? So what is the checklist here? Why are we okay with GPT-5 or 4 or any of these models that don't care about these objectives being met? And for you talked about warranties. I mean, insurance here is a huge deal. People's lives and their money and this is a very big deal, because the first notice of loss for an insurance policy, the incident time, the location, the photos, who's going to win the claim, right? If you miss one of these steps, this is a huge dispute that, I mean, this honestly, it's a mess. And I'm not saying that the world is not a mess as it is, and none of our processes logistically as human beings are perfect, right? But the question is, how can we design AI to actually help us and follow very basic parameters? It will not be done without Braid, without bounded reasoning that helps it focus. And this goes to healthcare, logistics. Armand, are there any other real world examples that we should cover just to kind of set the stage for people that keep you up at night?
I guess like education is a big one. One of the first agents that I've ever built was practically an agent that would teach you programming.
You're an educator. You're a programming teacher, so you should know.
Yeah, and boy, like we had only GPT-3 at the time, and it was such a disgusting experience to try to kick some sense into it. Like we're light years ahead now with the recent models, but that's a big one. Nowadays, I'm helping out a startup build an engine for teaching maths to kids, and it has the same problem. You have to stick to the curriculum because there's a curriculum for elementary school, and like you cannot just go on and randomly talk about topics that are like high school level, for example. There's a very specific way of how you should talk, the words that you should pick, the examples that you should pick, and if you don't follow them, well, it's a horrible experience, and it might have devastating adverse effects on your audience, and obviously no one will use you, and that would be the best thing that could happen because they could also sue you and so on. So healthcare insurance, that's very important. One of the top most important things. Insurance claims is now handled by AI for a very long time, mostly by non-LLM machine learning models, custom models. They're doing a lot of mistake, and people are suffering a lot, and no one can explain why the AI actually decided that outcome, because there is no explainability, which is one of the biggest topics in AI, explainable AI. Like it just gives you a true or false, or A, B, C, or D brackets. But why D and not C? We don't know. It just decided like that. And some of these insurance claim systems are so big that it's almost impossible by humans to go through all of the checklists and evaluate your case. So they're like, we don't know. We trust the AI. And I read about a story of someone recently, actually last week, who lost their yearly checkup, which is like the default thing the insurance should give you. And like they just couldn't claim it.
Because of AI?
Because AI, yeah, because AI said so.
Okay.
Like
this is not okay. We got to figure this out as soon as possible, because now I'm getting scared. You know, anybody that has kids or cares for other people, you know how serious of a lifeline even one insurance claim or one healthcare decision is. I mean, it's literally life-threatening. So everything that we have covered so far, I want everybody who's still listening to please pay close attention, because this demo was done as a jovial, fun experience. We've got pastries and meat pies. It's so innocent. Even the apron shows how excited they are about shilling themselves.
And what I didn't tell you, they actually brought those pies. Like they already obviously ordered, and like after this talk, pies were served to everyone. So it's
does that, isn't this sort of like a dark, twisted fantasy, right? Like it's actually like a bad sci-fi movie, right? And they feed the audience and they make them full with meat pies and sweets so that they love and applaud the audience. But in truth, it failed the demo. And not only did it fail it, but this is who we are supposed to be betting on for the future of humanity. I'm sorry, but if that AI was in charge of making sure, you know, a life-threatening disease decision was made, or the right doctor was chosen, or if I'm going to get an injection of anesthesia or something that will put me into paraphylactic shock, I don't want it to say, "Hey, thanks so much for your time." You know, I want you to have bounded reasoning and common sense and wisdom, or at least send me to a real person to chat at that moment, right? Anything but just satiating my fantasy. I want to be steeped in reality, and I think we want our AI to be as well.
Right. And also, again, let's not forget, maybe some of the viewers in the audience could think, yeah, but like you could have multiple agents to double check the answers and solve this and correct this and so on and so forth. And that, yeah, that's true. You could do that, but not for the scenario, because this has to happen in real time. This is a phone call, so you don't really have time for double checking the answers or anything. Like the answers should be immediate. This is why at the time there was no tool calling in these models, so I had to manually program everything. But I was thinking of implementing what the call center agents do best, holding you on the line and say, I need to check my screens, just give me a moment. And that is how you can buy time. So let's also make this an educational video and not only a ranting video about OpenAI, because this has nothing to do with OpenAI.
Right.
practically like all of the voice agents are like this, and it's because how large language models work, and Braid is fixing how they work. But here's a clever tip that you can put into your voice agent. I never saw this anywhere else on the internet. If you did, send them to me, because otherwise I'm going to claim that I invented this idea too. You can pre-program this. I'm going to hold you on the line for a second as I double check my screens. That can be programmed into these voice agents if you need external tool calling or external validation, and if you need more time for that. That's the only way that these agents can work.
You heard it here first. We're giving you free advice, okay, to all of our potential AI competitors. But Braid makes every model smarter. Braid is ketchup to fast food, or mayo if you like a royale with cheese. But no, seriously, it is a condiment that makes every single thing better for AI wise. And this is the reason why, is because the architecture, the way that we're speaking to the AI, is in their own native language. So that they don't have to spend time trying to figure out our context, our sarcasm, our offbeat remarks. They will discern it in their own language. I mean, how much more difficult would it be for us to present this demo in Japanese, right? Or have this conversation in Korean? It would be exceedingly difficult because we'd have to spend a lot of time looking at our paper, right? And referencing the translations and what is the cultural understanding here. So let's not be okay with the models that exist right now. Let's demand better. And let's also make it more affordable so that we can actually implement these things at scale and change our world for the better. We shouldn't be afraid of AI. We should be afraid of AI if we let that demo, that AI, be our king of technology moving forward.
Right.
Well, we're at time. Shadow Agents episode 2 is at completion. Armağan, I know the people have been excited about Braid for a while now. When will they be able to see Braid at work? When will we be able to see the next steps? And what are you looking forward to in the future of this show and what Braid will bring about?
Well, thank you so much. Goodbye.
That's good AI right there. That is the industry standard. That's state of the art AI.
Yeah. So
Oh,
jokes
man.
aside, we're really hard at work. Braid is obviously already part of the OpenServ platform, especially the project manager that sets up the projects in the OpenServ platform is making use of Braid to make sure that when you ask for an A app, you get one, and not some random this or that you have to edit or remove. It's a huge, hefty task. We're not done yet, but we made a great headway there, and we have made also a lot of progress with the paper. We're now at a place where we can put the benchmarks in, and then hopefully wrap it up. So this weekend will be very exciting because we're going to be working with Dr. Abe on the paper, and I'm going to be able to share more afterwards. But by the next episode, I'm hoping that there's going to be a surprise.
Ooh,
So.
I love surprises. Please don't make it pastries. Okay. Anything but I've lost my appetite after that demo. Well, I'm so excited, and we can't wait, and we're so excited to hear about what's happening with Dr. Ayep, and the big brains, the research and design and direction we're going to for Braid and OpenServ moving forward. If you haven't already, please follow Armağan on Twitter, and obviously follow OpenServ on X as well. Oh, I like that. I like the little heart emoji. You got some special effects here. That's
I
amazing.
have some.
Oh my goodness. This is how AI should work. Bounded, very bounded. Ooh.
Yeah. See, this is very good AI.
Oh my goodness, you're stunting on me over here. All I got is this my beautiful pool. Well, we have more tricks up our sleeve, but they're not tricks. Okay, these are real solutions, and we are so excited to bring you the next episode. Stay tuned, episode 3, Shadow Agents, on the way. Armağan, thank you so much for your time today. Peace and love, everybody. And thank you for listening.
Take care.